Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Tandas Pranam. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurav Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, we are reading the first chapter of Madhurya Kādambinī, and until now we have seen how just as Krishna is individual and he has his own free will, Bhakti is also has its own free will, how to appear. And there is no other cause for Bhakti than Bhakti itself. And then we saw how Madhyamadikari becomes the via medium of Bhakti to descend in this world. And Krishna doesn't dictate to whom the Madhyamadikari should give Bhakti. Rather, the Madhyamadikari decides whom he should give. And Krishna's free will goes along with that. And especially last week, we were looking at how there are verses in various places of scriptures which may look like they say that, if you do a lot of dana, vrata, tapa, homa, all these punya activities, you will get bhakti to Krishna. But then those are mixed bhakti we are talking about, not the pure bhakti. So the pure bhakti doesn't come through those processes. Okay, so we'll continue from here. Shreya Shrutim Bhaktim Mudasyate Vibho Kahava Artha Aptaha Abhajatam Swadharmataha Iti. One second, let me just check. Is my voice okay? Volume, audio?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Iti pureha bhuman bhagavaga api yoginaha ityadibhyaha jnana karma yogadinam pratisva pala siddhyai bhaktim avashyam apekshamananam eva bhaktehe sviya phala prema siddhyai swapne api na tatatsa apekshatvam. So it's a very long sentence. First of all, he quotes multiple verses. Let's look at each of the verse to see what's the context he's talking about. This is Bhagavatam 10, 14, 4. Shreyasritim bhaktim udasyate vibho Klishyanti ye kevalabhoda labdhaye tesham asaukleshalaye vashishyate nanyat yathasthula tushava ghatinam. So Shreyasritim bhaktim. So the bhakti is actually the path for Shreya. Shreyas means good fortune. So whatever the good fortune we could attain, there's a path for it. And that path is bhakti. And the best good fortune is love for the Supreme Lord. And that is achieved through bhakti. Udasya te, some people give up that bhakti, and then do something else. What happens? Klishyanti, they only suffer. For what purpose they suffer? Ye kevala bodha labdhaye. Kevala bodha is pure jnana. If they are giving a bhakti, and then they are searching after pure jnana, which is, here jnana doesn't mean just knowledge of bookish knowledge we are talking about. Here jnana means knowledge of self, knowledge of Brahman. So Brahman realization. If somebody gives up the path of bhakti and then searches for Brahman realization, they only get, they suffer. That's what it's mentioned here. Tesham asau kleshalaga eva shishyate. So for them, only the kleshala, only the pain remains. Na anyat, nothing else. They don't go to anything else, just the pain, pure pain. Yatha, an example is given. Sthula tusha avaghatinam. Sthula tusha means a fake grain or husk of the grain. In the husk of the grain, you don't have the grain, but you have only the husk. So if you take the husk and then you just beat it 100 times, you won't get grain out of that. The husk with the grain, if you beat it, you will get grain, the result. But if you just take the husk and then beat, nothing you are going to get. It is like that. Whoever gives up bhakti and then searches for jnana path. So this shows that bhakti is essential even for attaining Brahman realization. If somebody does jnana practice without bhakti to attain the Brahman realization, they don't get anything other than pain, just the pain of austerity, suffering. And then second verse he quotes is 1:5:17. So this verse is actually spoken by Lord Brahma when he was glorifying the Supreme Lord. The next verse is 1:5:17 in the conversation of Narada Muni and Vyasadeva. Tyaktva swadharmam charanambuje harer bhajan apakvotha pate tato yadi yatra kvabadram abhutamushyakim kovarth apto bhajatam swadharmataha. So if some people swadharmam tyaktva, they give up their own occupational duties and then worship the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. Charanambujam harehe bhajan. Apakvaha, without completing their process of bhakti, in the middle only, they didn't attain the result of bhakti. They didn't progress nicely and then attain the final stage of prema. In the middle only, patet, if they fall down, tataka yadi yatra kwa abhadram abud. So what is the misfortune there? There is no misfortune, even though they did not complete their process of bhakti. Amushyakim kahava artha aptaha abhajatam swadharmataha. If somebody persists continuing their swadharma continuously, what is the result they are going to achieve without doing Hari Bhakti? So basically, if you do bhakti, even though you do not complete the process, you fall down in the middle, that's actually glorious. Then if you perform swadharma, even if you perfect it also, there is nothing you're going to attain through that, because whatever the results you're going to attain, it's going to be temporary. It's not permanent. So in that sense, it's actually nothing. The next verse is again quoting from 10:14:5, the next verse of what we saw in the first verse. Again, Lord Brahma is glorifying the Supreme Lord. Pureha bhuman bhagavopi yoginas tvadarpiteha nija karma labdhaya vibudhya bhaktyaiva kathopanitaya prapedirenja chuta te gatim param. Pura iha bhuman bhagavaga api yoginaha tvad arpita iha nija karma labdhaya. So in the past, so many people, so many yogis, they have offered their own activities, the results of their own activities to the Supreme Lord. But once they come to the process of bhakti, once they figure out, okay, there is something called bhakti, bhaktya eva vibudhya. So what happens after that? In bhakti, here we are talking about hearing the Krishna's pastimes or chanting his holy names, all these things, katha upanitaya. they take full shelter of the Supreme Lord, Prapedire, and then they achieve the final goal. So in the past, there are many yogis, they were performing their own activities and they were offering to the Supreme Lord. But then they found out there is something called the pure bhakti, which is chanting and hearing the holy names, pastimes, glories of the Supreme Lord. Once they come to that, they surrender fully to the Supreme Lord, giving up the previous processes. So he says, quoting all these verses, that these verses state that when the process of jnana, karma, and yoga are performed, bhakti is required, bhakti avashyam, for each of these processes to attain the results of those processes. Pratiswas pala siddhyai. If you are performing jnana or karma or yoga, you need to perform bhakti to attain the fruits of jnana, karma, and yoga. But that's not the case with bhakti. It's not like for bhakti, you need to perform jnana, karma, or yoga process to attain the result of bhakti. Bhakti is sviya phala prema siddhyai swapne api na tatat sapekshatvam. Not even in the dreams it happens. There is no dependence of bhakti on these processes. So, pratyuta, on the contrary, jnanam cha jnanam na cha vairagyam prayah shreha bhavetiha. So he's quoting another two verses from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:20-31. Tasman madbhakti yuktasya yogino vai madatmanah jnanam na cha vairagyam praya shreyo bhavediha. So here Krishna is speaking to Uddhava and the Uddhava Gita. So there he says that those yogis who are endowed with bhakti, that means bhakti yogis, for them jnana and vairagya is not the process. The bhakti itself is the process enough for them to achieve the final result or the good fortune. And then the other verse he quotes is from 11:32. Agyavam gunan doshan maya dishtan api swakan dharman santyajya sarvan mam bhajetatu sahatu sattamaha. So here Krishna is talking about so one who gives all of his dharma, swakan dharman santyajya, and all the dharmas, not just some part of the dharmas, sarvan, all the dharmas. One who worships the Supreme Lord, that person is the best person, he says Krishna. So by these quotations, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, Nityadibhyaha tasyaha sarvatha anya apekshatvam, that in all the times, in all circumstances, bhakti is not dependent on anything else. Bhakti is independent. Kim vaktavyam, what else to be said? Tesham eva jnana karma yogadinam pratishu ekeshu paleshu api kadachit atmana sadhyamaneshu na tattat gandha apekshatvam api. So even the results that are achieved by jnana, karma, or yoga can be achieved just by bhakti itself. You don't need to perform jnana, karma, or yoga. Not even a tinge of it. Tat na tat tat gandha apekshatvam. Not even a small tinge of it, you need to perform that. You just perform bhakti and you still can achieve the result of jnana, karma, or yoga. Not just to the goal of bhakti. Yaduttam, he gives a example. Yat karma bir yat tapasa jnana vairagya chayat. Let's look at the Bhagavatam 11:20 and 32. Yat karma bir yat tapasa jnana vairagyatascha yat yogena dana dharmena sheyo bitraihi api sarvam mad bhakti yogena mad bhagataha labhathenjasa swarga pavarga madhama katanchit yativanchati. So he says, whatever is achieved, yat karma bi yat tapasa, whatever is achieved by karmas, karma is your nitya karma, like, chanting the Gayatri 3 times a day in Vedic Gayatri we are talking about, or performing your Sandhya Vandan, or performing your Shraddha ceremony, all these things. Yet tapasa, whatever you perform by austerities, like so many vratas. Jnana Vairagya, you perform jnana or Vairagya, other processes. And even yoga, with the goal of attaining Ashtasiddhi, or you do charity to attain good results in the next life, or do some dharma. All this, even whatever is not mentioned, itaraihi api, all the good fortune achieved by these processes can be achieved by mad bhakti yogena mad bhaktaha labate. They just, the devotees of the Lord attain all these things quickly just by bhakti process. He says here, anjasa, very easily or quickly. Well, he gives the example. Swarga, if you want to go to heaven, you can do bhakti and you can attain heaven. Apavarga, if you want to attain liberation, then you can go to, you can do bhakti and you can attain liberation. Or you want to go to Vaikuntha, that also you can do bhakti and then you can attain. Kadanchit, or anything else you desire. You want to earn money in this world, power, position, fame, all these things can be achieved just by doing the process of bhakti. We don't need to perform any other process. And then he ityado, and he quotes the next verse as well. Yeah, sarvam, which we already read. But tamina tu tesham. But if there is no bhakti and other processes, jnana, karma, and yoga are performed, what happens? He quotes from Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japastapaha Apranasya Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjanam. So, if somebody performs their own activities, that's because they belong to a particular caste, they perform particular karma, or if they read particular shastras, in the sense of Vedic shastras we are talking about for karma kanda activities, or if they do japa, not Hare Krishna mantra japa, this is the Vedic mantra japa. If you do, or you perform any austerities without bhakti to Lord, what happens? It is like apranasya dehasya. It is like decorating a body which does not have any prana, that is a dead body. Why, in a dead, when a person passes away, they decorate the dead body very nicely. Why? Lokaranjanam, for the happiness of all the relatives there. So they have seen that person for so long, and suddenly the person passed away. They give all the respects to that body, so that they feel happiness. It is like that. So you do perform all these different activities without bhakti. It is only for the happiness of mind, for one's own mind satisfaction, nothing else. It doesn't give you any result. If you decorate a body, it is not going to bring back the person, or it is not going to satisfy the person who was living there as well. It is only for the happiness of the relatives. Ityadehe vaipalya eva syad iti. So everything becomes viphala. Viphala means no fruits. Tasyaha parama mahatya adhinatvam tesham sampranayai vastam. So the example is already given. Apitu karma yogasya kala. Okay, so we are starting another subtopic. Is there any question before we move on? All right. So the next topic is Apitu Karma Yogasya Kala Desha Patra Dravya Anushtana Shuddhi Adi Apeksha Cha Tat Smriti Prasiddha Eva. So if you want to perform a karma, for example, a Shraddha ceremony, or if you want to perform the Gayatri Japa, or if you want to do some other Sandhya Vandan, for example, you have to look at Kala, Desha, and Patra. Time you have to look at. Is it a proper time to perform? You cannot just simply sit and perform anytime Gayatri Japa, or you cannot simply sit and perform anytime Shraddha ceremony. You have to look at the good time. You have to start your activity at a good time, auspicious time. Desha, not everywhere you can perform. You cannot sit in a latrine toilet and then you can perform. It's Patra, if you want to give somebody, the person should be fit. A Shudra cannot do a Gayatri Japa. He has to be a Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya. The person has to be fit. And the Dravya, the articles you are using in that process, when you are doing Shraddha ceremony, you have to acquire pure articles. You cannot do with impure articles. Anushtana, the whole activities itself, everything you need to do purely, Shuddhi Adi Apeksha. If you do purity, then it is going to give you bad results. Asyaha tu na tata. But with bhakti, it is not the case. Here he is quoting, and this is from Vishnu Dharma. Na desha niyamastatra na kala niyamastatha no chishtadau nishedosti hare namani lubdhaka. So here, I suppose somebody is speaking to the hunter. The lubdhaka means hunter. So for chanting the holy names of the Lord, there is no nisheda, there is no rule forbidding that you should not do this, you should not do that. Nothing. Even when you are eating, also you can chant. You shouldn't be doing the karma activities like that. You cannot perform the Gayatri mantra when you are eating. Nadesha, there is no country anywhere you can go and perform. Na niyama, there is also no rule. There is also, you don't need to look at the time. Okay, is it a good time? Should I perform the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra? No, you can perform anytime. Kimcha syaha prasiddha sa apekshatvam apina. So not even the faith you need for performing this bhakti activity. So he says prasiddha sa apekshatvam. So we have heard that to perform bhakti, you need faith. Without faith, if you perform bhakti, it's not going to give you result. But here he says, no, that's not the case. Even you don't need that as well. Here it quotes the verse, Sakradapi parigitam shaddaya helaya va bhriguvara naramatram tarayet Krishna nama iti. So if one chants the Krishna's name only once, Sakrit, only once, right? With Shraddha, you can have faith, or Hela, you don't, just accidentally you chant without any faith also. He says it delivers the human being completely, just like the case of Ajamila. So in the case of Ajamila, Vishwanatha Chakravarti comments that when Ajamila chanted only once, the first time when he named his child Narayana, and he said only once, at that time only all his past, present, and future karmas are completely destroyed. That's why when the Yamadutas came, they are not able to take out Ajamila. And then there is the conversation between Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas, because his karmas are completely destroyed. And whatever he was performing, but Ajamila did not know that his karmas are destroyed. It looked like the life did not change for him. It was going on its own, right? He was still performing sinful activities externally. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, those are like the snake without teeth. It is biting. If a snake without teeth bites, you're not going to get harmed. So the point here is that only once, even if you chant, all these karmas are completely destroyed and the person is completely delivered. from at least from the samsara. But if somebody wants to achieve prema, then they have to put effort, love for God, and that's a different case. Karma yogasya tatha bhutatve maha anartha karittvameva. But if you do the same kind of activity, that is, I won't consider kala, desha, and patra, I will just perform all the karma activities. Then what happens? Maha anartha. It is only you are going to get not artha, but anartha, the opposite of the results. This is a Paniniya Shiksha. He quotes a verse, Mantrahina svarato varnato va mithya prayuktaha natamarthamaha yathendra shatru svarato paradhat savag vajraha yajamanam hi hinasti. So if you chant a Vedic mantra without swara, the swaras, Vedic mantra, when you're chanting, you have the swaras, udhata, anudhata, and swarita. You have to you have to chant like that. You cannot chant like reading a textbook plainly. You have to put proper intonations. And varnas, you cannot mispronounce a varna. If you mispronounce also, it's, bad things are going to happen. Mithya prayuktaha, what happens if you mispronounce a varna or mispronounce even a swara, then it is going to give only, it's going to become a false thing. It's not a true chanting of the mantra, and it doesn't bring any result. And not only that, it is going to do something else also. Yatha indra shatruhu swarataha aparadhad. So he is giving the example of Indra Shatru, which is the story of Vritrasura. So when Twashta, he wanted to take revenge on Indra because Twashta's son was killed by Indra. So Twashta got so much angry, and then he wanted to take revenge on Indra. So at that time, he performed a yagya. And in that yagya, he said, Indra Shatruhu Vivardhasva. Oh, enemy of Indra. Indra Shatru means enemy of Indra, or killer of Indra. Oh, killer of Indra, rise up, right? But there actually, he changed the intonation. He said the words correctly, Indra Shatru only he said, but he changed the intonation, go up and down, you have to change the tone. Because of that, the meaning got completely changed. Instead of killer of Indra, it became one who is killed by Indra. One who will be killed by Indra. Rise up. So completely changed, opposite result he has got. He didn't get what he wanted. Saha Vag Vajraha, that is like a thunderbolt, this mantra which is not pronounced properly. And Yajamanam hi hinasti, it can just go and attack the performer of the sacrifice. So when you're doing Vedic sacrifice, you need to be very careful about what is the varna you pronounce, what is the swara you pronounce. But it's not the case with chanting the holy names of the Lord. We will stop here. If it's 8 o'clock, we'll continue from next week. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vrijajivan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Vancha kalpatarupesya kripasam
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.